Welcome to the grim, lawless 23rd century, following the fall of USGov and mass depopulation of major cities at the hands of the multi-trillionaire DeHuberton family. Baptized in radioactive hellfire, a rare mutation makes Turbo a fiercely pumped scrapper, haunted by specters from her past, surviving the post-apocalyptic wasteland one deathmatch pit fight at a time. But when she rescues the stunning trophy girl, the unlikely duo are thrust into a harrowing odyssey, evading marauding berserkers at every turn on their way to the ultimate showdown as they uncover the horrific truth behind the fall of humanity.
Hello, everybody, and hello, Kurt. So we are making another episode here of Making Turbo Pit Fighter. I'm Jake. This is Kurt with me, and
Howdy.
you can see that Kurt is showing off the finished art for Turbo teaser number 2. We got to do something with the letters, though, right?
Oh, yeah, that was just something you had done a bunch of new logos for Turbo, and I think you had made a suggestion that this was to be this teaser's masthead. So I just chucked it in there, and this is just to give us. I also relayed this out, so you get the first 6 pages, and then
Yeah.
it leads right into the next 6 pages. And I got this, that, right? And then page 12. And then you have that layout pretty much done.
Right. I finally sent you the art for that.
Yeah. The immediate thing I have question of is the figure with the gas mask on, is super black. Like the whole thing is very, very black. So I don't know if we can do anything to lighten that up. Yep. And then of course I'm working on the back cover matter. So that is what I have. And of course I just wanted to have something so everybody knows we're moving along, and we are, and this is super exciting. This came out amazing, Jake. Absolutely amazing. It has so much of that similar feel to what we had here. Other than I think some of this was hand drawn. You had said, right?
Yeah, I combined some fonts with some hand drawn, and because this isn't a cover, this is an internal page. I wanted to make it a little bit longer to read.
Right.
So you're working on inking the back cover art, and I'm going to be today working on laying out the type so I can give it to you to do the lettering. I think that worked out pretty well.
Oh, and, yeah.
We got our workflow a little bit streamlined now. You sent me the next 6 pages of art, or these is some version of it. And we have our notes here where we went over page 7, 1-1-1, and this is going to be
so let's give the kids a little bit of context of what the hell is going on and why you have text blocks on printed paper, and we have because this is a 20+ year project in the making, and you are on a 35-year-old iMac book with a 27-year-old version of Quark Express, right?
Yes. This is a software package that cost a lot of money back in the day, and nowadays everything is subscription. These old programs are just grandfathered, so you can just use them until your computer dies, and this old white computer is still going. That's often the case with Apple Mac. It's just you can't destroy them. And they might have some parts that aren't working anymore, like the modem or the CD player. But in general, this thing is still just punching along. And I need the cork on this because I don't have it. Nowadays I would have to buy like InDesign and pay a monthly subscription, $29.99. I don't know what the actual price is, but Adobe Suite is pretty expensive. You can get a little discount if you're in college or school, but um, the gatekeepers are just all about planned obsolescence. So I'm going back here to some old Photoshop and some old Quark, and I am taking advantage of the ease of the text tools and the layout tools, and I do have a lot of experience with it, so I'm trying to make it go quick and dirty, just so we can get our lettering for you to have a tracing guide. This is also Kurt can trace by hand, and what we have to do is we made kind of like a rookie boo boo by locking ourselves into these text boxes instead of just maybe printing them out fresh on sticky paper. Maybe they would need to be a little bit bigger, a little smaller, but in our artwork, as you can see here, they're already set in stone. So
yeah, and that was 20. It was a 20 plus year ago decision that was made that neither one of us can understand or remember why we made it that way. But c'est la vie.
Yep. So I'm going to now do the copy fitting, and I'm going to see what we're starting out with here on the horizontal scaling. This is also, kind of the fun part is doing, this says our horizontal scaling. It's mixed. So this is what it would be like if it was 100%. Whoa. And so I need to squeeze it back together so that it's fitting in better. And like I was saying, the fun part here is doing like changing the text to not only make it fit, but to make it make better sense with our current understanding of the comic, which might have been night and day from last time. I just want to get a little reading of what the horizontal scaling is for when last we left off. It was down to, what does it say, 80%. So I might, just to make everything match, I might start with 80% horizontal scaling, and just make that universal, and then I'll go from there depending on the line. So we have, and a tremendous follow-up strike staggers the Toros are early on in this match. He's just getting beaten about the head here and topples backward. Okay. I'm going to take out the just. And a tremendous follow-up strike staggers the Toros are early on in this match. He's getting beaten about the head here, and I'm taking out the here too. See, some things we just decide they're superfluous because it's 20 years later. Now, just so we can like move along on these things, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to horizontally scale this so it takes up more room, right? And I can't do a system bold. A tremendous. Are you doing any text that's bold at all?
What do you mean?
When you're doing the lettering, do we have just one way of doing the text, or do you have some words that we're bolding?
I don't believe so. Let me.
Yeah, on the old layout, whatever this font used to be, I had and a tremendous follow-up strike staggers the Toro guy.
Yeah, I mean from the last, I don't believe I didn't make. I think there was some. No, nope. It's all
right, well,
uniformed. Okay. And it was based, just so you remember, it was based on space, because you really sandwich this down, to fit it in there, and some breathing room between them. So to then extend just one word in bold, it's going to end up bleeding into above and below lines.
Yeah, well, there is a filter in Photoshop. I think it's called maximum or minimum, and you just select text, and it'll just beef it up pixel by pixel. But I think we might be past that stage. So, I'm just fitting this stuff in. And how was your week? Did you see any sci-fi?
Before we get into that, I'd like to just get everybody a heads up on our upcoming Indie Comic Exchange interviews. So right after this episode, we're probably going to do a Comics That Influence episode. But then after that, we will be talking with the Adam Lemna, which has been a long time coming. And we're going to be talking about Relic Hunter. Then next week, we're going to be talking with Tony Figueroa, and we're going to be going over his Wrestler Zero comics. Then I have to apologize, Jake, because that following week was supposed to be our week off from interviews. We're still doing our podcast and probably even doing a Comics That Influence. But our main man, Dan, from Rave Sensation, has that weekend off. So I had to schedule that with him, because the three of us are going to get together and we're all going to talk and review one comic.
Wonder
and
Woman.
he suggested Daniel Warren Johnson's Dead Earth Wonder Woman, and man, did he nail it. So it's a strong woman. It is some crazy monsters in here, because that's for him, the women for us. And of course, it's a post-apocalyptic world. I've read issue 1, or chapter 1, if you will, and it is so absolutely amazing to get into this this issue with Dan from Rave Sensation. Then we just signed up these young gentlemen here. I don't know if they're young. I'm just saying that. As the Pescatore and Loco Gonzalez is a team of writer and artist for Junction Jones and the Corduroy Conspiracy. This is a surprise to you, because this has been in the limbo state where I was like, okay, is this going to happen? And it did. So the exchange has been made between us and them on comics, and they're super excited to get on. So we're actually going to have 4 of us for this one. So we'll both have TC Pescatore, and Loco Gonzalez on there. Then this is Jay Bethke, and I'm hoping I'm saying that correct, but we'll get corrected. This is this is going to be another amazing interview because he's a fan of our channel, and he has a comic that he has yet to complete over the last 10, 15 years maybe. So he's reached out to us on me specifically for some technical support on how to put together, what we do, which is the, teaser, which is just printing out, things. So I gave him some technical support. He just gave me the pencils. And so we're going to be talking to somebody who's literally going ground up, just like ourselves on a comic, getting it in the teaser form, and then moving into final product, if you will, floppy, trade paperback, or whatever. Then we have a week off. I think we have a week off, so I'm going to keep that. Yep, we have a week off. And then we're going to be, hopefully, I'm right now trying to figure out, arrangement of time. This is Chance Priest, Warriors of the Universe. Jake, I can't wait to send you links on this guy's stuff. Actually, his artist.
Look at that.
His artist. I already had in our queue to reach out to, which is Jeff Bernatard. I can't. I'm butchering his name. I'm sorry. I don't have it in front of me. But I was zooming through my Instagram feed, and this had popped up. But he does. Oh boy, I gotta try to find out. He does figurines. So that's it. So he has a whole line of toys that he does. He's got a YouTube channel. So I've been the guy's super busy. So this is going to be a hold your breath kind of thing. But we definitely want to give him a shout out. He is super creative. As a matter of fact, I'm now just remembering Ken Landgraf suggested me reaching out to Chance Priest because he does sword and sorcery based stuff. So that is our update for the Indie Comic Exchange interviews. And I just want to repeat that we are not going to be scheduling new ones starting in May. So we'll have all the way to the 28th. I believe we're scheduled already into April, so we have a couple more slots. But we will be then, because the second teaser will be done, we'll be going back to our original, I think it was about 9 or 10 creators that we started having conversations with, and then check in with them, and then do another exchange. Hopefully they'll have something to exchange with us. That's what we would be looking forward to keep up to date with each other. Because as we told the individuals, creators that we had on, is that we're not a one and done interviewing. We want to really have and maintain a conversation with creators, keeping aloof of what is each of us are doing, and also the support. So that is really what I wanted to share today. We have that. We're up to 13 interviews so far, and there is a playlist. Go to the homepage and scroll down a bit, and you'll see playlists, and it will be Indie Creator Exchange.
Right.
So
great. So thanks for the update. You're really scheduling us for a busy calendar every Sunday. Yes. There was one of those covers that you were showing was really, really busy, and it reminded me of something I saw in the cartoonist kayfabe. What's that ancillary group? What was it, like ringside seats?
Ringside seats, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was in there, but somebody put a post on there about overdoing pages.
Are you talking about this one?
No, it was the other one. She was talking about when page. Yeah, she said when pages are colored, there's a tendency to overdo them, and she says that because you have so much detail and shading and drawing and just mark making on the page in the inks, that it means the colorist has to do less, otherwise you overdo it. And she says usually that's a big problem with a lot of comics, is that you have 150% of stuff on the page, and instead that the the art should leave a little bit out for the colorist to do. And because you have your blends and your fades and your blurs and your effects and your gradients and all this other stuff, and they do those lighting effects. They bring a lot in, and she was trying to say that a lot of that is wasted. You can just each person could do a little bit less, and you move on to the next page. And I don't necessarily agree with that, but it is an interesting point to bring up. It's like when pages are like those pages you were just showing me, like the art was very intense and very detailed, and then the color was on top of that. And when is it too much?
It's a really hard thing to do nowadays, especially when it comes to judging independent, let's even say outsider artwork. Individuals that are just literally picking up pens and paper and an iPad and just want to make comics. And I run into people all the time, and I'm just saying in my everyday life. My nephew has reemerged into wanting to make his comics, and he just does it. I think the short answer though is the aesthetic. Does it please the artist's eye? So as the artist, am I conveying what I want to say in enough information, or maybe it's too much information, but said individual artist might not have enough under their belt to be able to, start gauging like, yeah, these are probably a little too busy and I'm not clearly getting my message across, but I still like the aesthetic. I still like the feeling of it, like here's one that's not as busy, and I believe Jeff is doing the color too. I'm almost certain. Like even jumping inside.
Oh, here we go. He's opening the plastic, folks.
Yeah, it's Jeff Bertrand. Jeff Bertrand. Bartrand.
Oh my God! Look at those pages.
He had a really successful Kickstarter. Yeah, I mean this is some really. I think this is amazing. I totally get the point. Like, hey, commercially as an aesthetic, we're probably not meeting that standard. But I would go on a limb and speak for Jeff at this point and say, well, I really don't care. This is what I'm doing. I'm doing XYZ from 9 to 5 on Monday through Fridays, and when I come home, and this is what I want to do. And I applaud that. I applaud that.
We're in a new era now where you can take the you could take the underground sensibility when it comes to drafting, like shading. You're doing your hatching and your shading and everything, but then you can pretty easily lay color on top of it. That was not an option in the 70s and the late 60s. So it's a whole different kind of comic, and what you just showing me is just like like it's like a Robert Williams painting, in a comic.
Very good. Very good.
There's so much to look at, and the art style is different, but there's just it's exactly what that person was talking about, and again, I don't necessarily agree with her, but when you look at my favorite era in comics, which is 20-cent Marvels, you do see a lot of the more experienced artists, like your John Buscema's and your Jack and your Ramitas and certainly Jack Kirby. They get to a certain time limit on a page and they just move on, and you can rely on your colorist to do a little bit more with it later on, if possible.
Fill it in.
That depends on time constraints for them too. If you're in that workflow and you have a deadline and you go into press. But these indie comics nowadays, like, as an artist, I have a little problem of, going back in to pages that I thought were finished, but as soon as you walk away from it and come back, you look at it in a different way. And, I can't help it. It's just like, it's just crying out, oh, fix this, do that, add this, this area is wrong. I mean, I look very critically at my own stuff, whether it's anatomy or just, the time that you take versus.
I think everybody does. I think there's still a professionalism that is acceptable, and it's all by time. I remember in like 2014 or 15, I went to SPX, and I was just completely caved in by it. Like, and it was because at that time the indie aesthetic was Adventure Time, that cartoon. So it was everything. It was like 80 to 90% of the work that was on everybody's table was just cartoon and this imprinted, like Steamboat Willie meets, LSD kind of like, aesthetic. And I was just I was completely like, okay, I figured there was going to be some of that here, but I didn't think the whole entire industry as indie goes was there, because I don't think you were with me, but I went to the first SPX, the first couple of them, because I lived in Baltimore and going to college, and I would continually visit through the 90s that town, and that's just out in Bethesda, Maryland, close, DC area kind of thing, and it was all Xerox zines. That was what Small Press Expo was. It was just, and most of it was like, there was like 25 people there around tables. And if you brought zines, you could totally trade off zines. And I had an anthology comic that I had produced in college called Network Comic Productions. And I was just basically looking for people who had enough, material to just do an exchange. That was how it is. But then it obviously has grown up into this place of like substantially being a market value. But as an artist, your responsibility to yourself and your art is to grow. And you grow in two phases. The first phase is that you get up the next morning, you look at your work and you go, oh wow, I really missed that. I didn't get this, that thing. But then you put it into the marketplace and nobody's buying it, or everybody's buying it. And I think that does have to do with, the look and feel of it.
Yeah, I mean, people are looking for a lot of different things. You look at some of those comics and, kind of like the amalgamation of cartoony style and, realistic style. I mean, that last guy you showed me, I see so much Kenny Landgraf in there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We hired him to do work.
Really, yeah. So yeah, it's a very interesting thing, that I think, indie collectors are more forgiving if it doesn't look like, John Romita or Neil Adams. It doesn't matter. It's like, okay, can you get me into your story? Can you, make me forget, that I'm, looking at a new independent artist, a name I never heard of. Can your story take me away for a few minutes? Those are the things, and it's just a combination, right? You got the art, you got the story, and you're trying to work your assets to get an audience. Here, I just did the first two balloons, 2 boxes, and I think that's it for the first panel. I'm moving right along to 7-2, and a powerful stomp onto the forearm of Torozar. That was highly audible, folks. We're talking bone-crushing force here. So this announcer guy is definitely very wordy. And that's
don't know where he gets it.
Yeah, so now we're going all the way down here. Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to get a couple of these pages going. But yeah, there's that I wanted to bring up, and I still haven't seen Zardoz, but I should be watching that tonight. I have a note here: Wired to Kill and Candy. I want to see. There was also so you're all caught up on the movies. Did you see the third movie of that Frank Schaefer director guy?
Can't find it. Can't find it.
Yeah, I don't think it might be around anymore.
Somebody's got it.
Some movies are lost to the grave bit, to the the graveyard of history. That's a big problem when you think about the 120 or so years that motion pictures have been around, and how much how many movies that were made are just literally crumbling to dust.
Yeah.
I once saw this cool. I guess it was like a documentary, but it was like bringing you through some real early movie making, and then at the end they have this really like long infomercial slash like telethon style thing where they want you to donate to the preservation of these films because they're in vaults right now and they have to be very carefully restored and digitized.
You know about the vinegar syndrome? The company, the vinegar syndrome?
No.
Yeah, that's their whole entire business model is they buy old film wherever they can find it, canisters of old film. It doesn't even have to be movies. It can be people's home movies. Like a lot. They did an opening. They had an interview, and they were like on a television show, news outlet, and they were like, well, let's just pick from one of these canisters, and they pick, it's a small canister, so they put it on the reel and they go, and they're like, oh wow, this looks like somebody's like it was like a picnic, or I don't know, it was like a family type of like bunch of people gathering together, and then all of a sudden it just starts getting raunchy. So it was it was pornography, So, but they have them and another company called Arrow, which is actually who we got, I believe, those two that double set of 10 in each exploitation B movies. So it's almost like a little industry, It's like, hey, here's this opportunity. All we have to do is put the time into it.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. Like, who's paying for it? Like, I'm sure there's a lot more stuff out there. Same thing with the art world too. There's so much art that could be preserved and restored and displayed if anybody cared. It might not be Michelangelo, but it might be old. And you got your antique shops that are trying to sell them, but if it doesn't sell for a while, they might end up in the thrift store. And so
no. I think also that they're streaming too. I don't. There are so many exploitation B movie streaming platforms you can pick up off of Roku. You know what I mean? You could add as a channel. Some of them are like, there's one that just runs films, so they're just back to back. There's no starting or stopping or looking for it. It just runs 24 hours a day, and you can go on their website. But I think they, for some of the stuff, clearing getting an attorney to clear the copyright and the claim to it, and all the technological whatever you do to make your own version, a revised version of it, they can put it on a streaming platform.
Right, and then that's I know a little bit about this in the music industry. When someone writes a song and it's kind of an obscure song, you might have royalties that are gathering up at the uh, organization. They call it ASCAP. Yeah, ASCAP and BMI. So there might be money accumulating that isn't being collected by anybody because the last person that was collecting it died and nobody else knew about it or nobody else kept up with it.
Well, there was no exchange of estate. So that is like the biggest thing with artists is setting up an estate that somebody who has more sort of know-how, justification wise, to executor an estate, not your child or a nephew or that. That's one of the biggest issues with artists.
Yeah, well, the same thing goes for real estate. My brother's in real estate, and sometimes there's an abandoned property, and there's an heir out there who doesn't even know, that that they owe it, and there might be like $60,000 of taxes due on it, but you could still sell it for like $250K. Like we're talking like abandoned lots, buildings with squatters in it, all kinds of stuff. And it's just about finding the right air and then cleaning it up, because sometimes it's messy. Sometimes there's like, two cousins. One's in Atlanta, one's in North Carolina. They haven't talked for forever, and an entrepreneurial business person could try to put all the people together, and and try to collect the outstanding amounts. Same, and when it comes to movies, I don't know if the motion picture royalties system is the same. I think that's one of the things that they were striking about, for the writer strike and the creator strike and the SAG after strike, was about, like, ongoing royalties, who gets money, who gets paid for what, if a movie or a TV show or some other kind of production, sticks around over time. And they were talking about setting up a royalty system like ASCAP and BMI has for music. And the same thing could go for anything, really. That's the interesting thing about the future of you know intellectual property on digital platforms is going to be interesting. Is the rights, the ongoing rights to it, and when somebody dies, what's going to happen. Certainly people are just going to stick it online and try to give it away for free on their website. But you might have somebody making a claim on it, and it's kind of like a whole whole landscape out there, whole world, an unexplored world of legal questions.
Well, it's definitely moving. This is not something that's just recent. Because even in the law, and once again, I'm not an attorney and I'm not giving any legal advice, but there are so many holes in what they call version. In other words, you can use version of sometimes depending on where, like let's just say a book, for instance. I know this through Amazon and doing the Gardner Francis Fox Library. Um, you know, you can, or public domain, here's, or things that are not, like, let's say, held anymore in copyright. You can do like a version of the book. You have to go through all the proper channels. Illustrate it is another one. There's a new introduction. You might add material to it, but you can actually create a version of somebody's work and control that version, not, let's say, the name of the author and the story.
Yeah.
You hear me?
Yeah, well, something's public
domain. So there's different. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, we spoke about this many times, that we're in a very interesting time now, because things are expiring, right? Like it was Winnie the Pooh 2 years ago, and this year it was I forget, we went over the list, but it was Steamboat Willie, Mickey Mouse, this year.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's funny, I haven't really seen anybody release anything yet.
Yeah, but who wants to see that? Like, who? Once again, let's go back to aesthetic. Like, who wants to see a gloveless, wiry, black and white? Not that you have to do it black and white, but mouse. Because Minnie, I don't even think Minnie is out there, so you can't
if you go to the Disney
all
store,
of the accessories.
If you go to the Disney store, they have a picture of the original Steamboat Willie on a T-shirt, and it's probably $28. So, if it's now legal for any jack off on Canal Street to do that, I would imagine it's going to be done. Maybe it takes a while before they catch up, but it seems as though that's the law now. Is that it expired, and everybody that was in that first episode would be like Clarabelle the cow, and the whatever, this was Max Fleisch. I mean, this was not Max Fleisch. It was Walt Disney, and Ubi Eworks was his animator then, and Disney did successfully delay the Copyright Expiration Act from going into effect. They call it, the Mickey Mouse extension. but now, that was Sonny Bono, actually, who sponsored that bill in Congress. He was a real, entertainment guy, and he had, I guess, connections with the Disney Corporation and Warner Brothers, and all of the lobbyists that were trying to continue copyright and extend it. But they didn't extend it. This January, everyone was wondering, were they going to appeal, and then this January 1st came, nothing happened, and so, as far as I know, Steamboat Willie, anybody can make a T-shirt, anybody can make a Steamboat Willie cartoon comic. You just can't do the later versions of Mickey Mouse, and that's going to be a big deal in 15 years when Superman comes up. Maybe 17 years, but it's
once
like
again,
98.
it has you don't get to control any of the other accessories that were developed over time. Those accessories are not attached to 37 Superman or something like that. So that's the thing that everybody's really, really clarifying now, is that you're not getting the ability to actually play in the sandbox of the IP Superman. It's just Superman in a jumpsuit with a Buick over his head, smashing it into a wall, and he flies into windows, into rooms, and
Whatever's
like
in it, whatever happened that first calendar year is in play, right? So
correct,
if they
correct,
right,
correct.
so if they didn't define him as coming from the planet Krypton in that calendar
Right,
year, then that just
right,
but it's
right.
it's only a year later or 2 years later, when that's all coming
Yeah,
up too. So
yeah,
um, so and like I said, I can imagine that there's going to be people creating content years in advance in anticipation of these dates, so that they can
absolutely,
drop on
absolutely.
January 1st. And especially Batman. I think Batman's going to be more ripped off than Superman. I don't know, but I might be wrong.
I agree. I agree.
You think? Yeah. So that they'll have to
I
wait
agree.
another 2 years.
Yeah.
um. And with the upper hand, the chieftain rocks the czar with a fury of excruciating haymakers.
I'll tell you this, Jake.
Yeah.
I had been thinking about this. Cartoons Kayfabe went on a rant on Thursday, in a similar motif of this whole anticipation of copyright lapse and everything. When Batman does come, that version of Batman, that 19 what is that 40 or 39 or whatever, I might even take a stab at that Batman, like do a real, because that's all pulp Batman. That's the Shadow, and who was another big guy that did similar, wears a mask, and the mask, sorry. Carried a pistol in his pocket, wore a trench coat. All that stuff is like, I just get really like energized by it. So if I'm able to make a product that is classified by that Batman, let's say comic book product, or even pulp story kind of thing, I'm going to take a shot at it. I'm saying right now, I don't know where
Well,
I'm going to be at in
it's there's
two
I don't
years from now, or it could be
there's
really
not
fun.
anything legal preventing it. I don't think, but there's going to be a lot of other people that jump in too, and it's going to be with
Sure.
great anticipation. It's gonna start out with the Bob Kane Batman, and whatever happened that calendar year, but um you know that and then that's weird, because they're gonna be like, okay, the utility belt came in this year and the Batcave came in that year, and
By the way, Gardner Fox was the man writing Batman at that time, and he invented the utility belt.
right. Yeah.
So
So, that maybe he'll get some acclaim for that. I know there was a big deal with discovering Bob Finger after all those years, and uh,
yeah,
and and actually getting money, not just getting the credit that was due, but getting like quite a big settlement. Same thing with Jack Kirby's estate, right? Marvel just made the Kirby family happy after a very long time of them being unhappy.
And the attorneys.
Yeah.
That's the one thing you got to remember is anytime you hear any of these things when they go to court, all the attorneys are making the lion's share of the money. That's the set. Now, the bonus is now an estate has control over said content, and then it's their responsibility to then redistribute it or what have you. And I think that's one of the things that Disney is sort of egoically counting on is they control such a large amount of attention grabbing, streaming and IPs that I just don't think they give a shit anymore. Like they, if it comes to some erroneous thing, then they'll sick the lawyers on them. But, some T-shirts off of Canal Street or on a web store, or I think they're looking for bigger fish to fry, and I think that's where the AI comes back into play. Did you see the release of the Sora? They have 1 minute AI videos. I think it's Sora, SHORA. I'll flash something up. I'll even put a link in the description to somebody. All the AI, the videos are astronomically amazing. They're a little glitchy still with hands and maybe, but it's ridiculous and especially if you own said content like Disney does, having this technology, it's going to be so overwhelming to not want to turn your head away from seeing whatever it is that they're going to put out there with their already established content.
Yeah, what did you say the title of it was?
No, it's a part of OpenAI. It's called Sora, I think. Let me.
Oh no, I don't know anything about it. And with the upper hand, Chief the Rock's the Czar with a fury of excruciating.
Yeah, it's SORA, Sora. I'll put a link below. Like I said, there are some. They did these like woolly mammoths walking and a woman walking through Tokyo, like Ginza. It's the technology a year from now in our conversation about making even. We alluded to this in the interview with Tanner Hurley. Having a comic book is probably one of the best things to have as like content and ownership, because then from panel to panel, I'm pretty much sure somebody's going to figure out how to use those panel to panels to make keyframes out of them to then give you enough to then start working inside of them on your own to make your own animation. In a cartoon kind of thing. And that's actually, just so you understand, one place I'm coming at it from in me doing the research and spending the time on what's happening in AI world. I'm not interested in the reality stuff. I'm interested in the cartooning, or let's call it the animation value of it. Like Saturday morning cartoons, Thundar the Barbarian. I wouldn't even mind being able to have the ability to input my own drawings to be able to get that even clunky, staticky, was it Ruby Spears, right? Rudy Spears animation style. So I'm not like trying to die on a hill where I'm going to have some hour and 30-minute movie streaming or in video in theaters. I'm more interested in having the ability to make old looking content. So, and I think it's coming.
Oh, I think my headset just died. So you're on my speaker now. No problem. Yeah, we talk about this a lot. Really interesting. One reason why it's of extreme interest to me is because I have students that may or may not
Yep.
want to get into comics, and if you're an artist or an inker or a colorist or a letterer and you don't know what you could be working on, why not pick a public domain character that catches your fancy and just start doing it. You got a lot of great characters out there that were lost on the highway of time, and there's no reason why you can't pick up the ball and just start making your stories, because at least you don't have to worry about character development or costume design, anything like that. You can just start doing your storytelling. And I don't know if there's any money to be made, but um, I mean, Disney. The funny thing about Disney is that they they have a lot of original properties that they want to protect. Right? They started out with Mickey Mouse, but when they first made their first feature-length animated feature in 1938, I think it was around the same time Superman was invented. It was Snow White, and they picked a public domain character. And it was a very popular fairy tale and story, and you can't go wrong. You can't get sued. Then they did Cinderella, and then they just they did a lot of public domain. Sleeping Beauty was public domain. Pocahontas is public domain. So Disney did the same exact thing themselves, and now it's their turn, to for other people to come along and do it.
Yeah, and we are over the 45-minute mark. We like to keep these episodes bite-sized. We also are got to get ready for a interview with Adam Lemna and his Relic Hunter at 12:30. But we have some time to be able to jump on and do a Comics and Influence if you feel like it, or we could just keep working off camera. So either way, what do you have to take us out? Because I have said all that I can say and draw or ink all that I can ink today.
Not too much. I did see an email reminder of this Comic Creator Con that's happening in New Haven. I think March 9th.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
they finalized the guest list and I guess the tables and stuff. Yeah, I'm planning to go check it out. I think there might be a lot of people. Like, I'm going to bring a portfolio, and I'm not really looking for work right now, but just to show people and just you know just to be able to talk about what you do. And it's going to be the kind of thing where I'm going to be looking around for other people that are carrying a portfolio, and I'm going to be like, hey,
yeah,
are you an artist? Like, come over to this table on the side here, let's see what you got.
Yeah.
There's I think that's what these cons are for, and I hope there's like a little cafe area where people can just chill and talk. I'm sure there will be. But
yeah, it'd be awesome to see what happens.
Just a little plug for that. If you're listening to this in time for it to be happening, it's going to be, I think, March 9th, 2024. So if not, then you might be talking about the second annual con or whatever. But yeah, that was it.
Right.
Yeah, why don't we sign off and let these people get back to their lives?
That's reading comics or making them, and also too, let us know what you're working on in the comment. Make links.
Share your Insta.
We're good.
Yeah.
We're totally down with it. So, but yeah, another great session, Jake, and I will see you in the next.
See you in the funny papers.